10 unexpectedly high-paying jobs. A task is something that the greater part of us need to accomplish professionally. A few occupations pay more than others, however, we generally accept that they're the fascinating ones that you'd love to do. We partner exhausting work that nobody needs to do with low compensation, since that is the means by which the world works, right? Well, not generally. A portion of the positions that you generally thought were simply venturing stones to greater things are well-paying vocations all alone. The main explanation we don't think about them is on the grounds that we never tried to investigate them. Individuals who did, nonetheless, admission much preferable on the compensation grade over your normal specialist. 10. Dear urine farmer. On the off chance that you've at any point been hunting in the US, you'd have run over deer bait fragrances. They're utilized to conceal the unmistakable human fragrance to draw in creatures like elk and eland, as their feeling of smell is very wonderful. In the event that you thought the fragrances were made of synthetic substances, you'd be off base. It's difficult to trick those creatures, so the baits are made with past deer pee. 9. Roadkill Collector. In the motion pictures, slamming your vehicle into a creature is normally a terrible sign that recommends a hazier turn of future occasions. Notwithstanding, if we somehow managed to ask you the number of those mishaps you think occur in a year, you'd presumably surmise, very few, as there's no chance either people or creatures are sufficiently moronic to get into that circumstance often. You'd be astounded to know then that the normal number of deer crashes, the most ordinarily hit animal in the US, is around 1.5 million in a year. Roadkill authorities are individuals who tidy up after those mishaps, as it's not really a task for an expert crime location cleanup crew. Despite how exhausting and unexciting the work might sound, a roadkill gatherer can acquire around $72,000 each year as long as he's working in a state with a moderate to high pace of roadkill. 8. Insurance sales agent. Being a business specialist evokes a picture of going house to house to make attempts to sell something and returning with nothing generally. Indeed, even famous films can't glamorize that field, and hardly any individuals have the right stuff needed to get by in deals. In the event that you do, you can wind up getting remunerated well. However, it'd in any case be an uncommon thing. That's provided that you're discussing the overall deals field. On the off chance that you investigate selling protection, it might simply wind up being the profession you're looking for. The pay for a protection deals specialist in the US goes from about $48,000 to $72,000, and that is only the cross-country normal. Protection deals specialists working in states like New York, North Dakota, and Massachusetts can expect a normal of around $70,000 and surprisingly higher for those with considerable experience. That's on the grounds that protection is something that nearly everybody needs to purchase sooner or later, which implies the persuading part regarding the attempt to seal the deal has effectively been taken care of generally. 7. Coal mine personnel. Well-known fiction has worked really hard of depicting coal mining as that work you never need to do. It seems like the ideal arrangement for stunning things to occur, and it doesn't appear to be a task that somebody would energetically take on. Also, the long-lasting layer of coal dust in your body for the remainder of your life. All of that is provided that you accept motion pictures as an exact depiction of how things truly work. While it's natural that architects and professionals working in the coal business would be compensated fairly, the diggers who work underground aren't excessively far down the rundown, either. On normal, underground coal excavators simply beginning acquire a normal of around $60,000 each year and around $85,000 with extra time. That is the lower cap for how much a coal mineshaft expert can acquire. Chiefs in the mining business can acquire as much as $200,000. 6. Crime scene cleaner. Regardless of where you reside, you can be certain that somebody in your overall region is overstepping the law right now. Wrongdoing is one of a handful of the constants in all human societies. Even in the event that we'd abstain from considering wrongdoing an industry, individuals working around it, like investigators, cops, and wrongdoing authors, are normally generously compensated. All things being equal, have you at any point pondered who tidies up those wrongdoing scenes? A crime location cleaner seems like a messy, low-paying position. Truth be told, for what reason would somebody eagerly join to tidy up after the most exceedingly terrible impulses of mankind? However, crime location cleaners may regularly be paid substantially more than others we've effectively referenced in this list. If you have the stomach and, obviously, abilities for its purposes, crime location cleaners can without much of a stretch procure a six-figure pay, or around $250 each hour. Precisely what those six figures are relies upon how long you've been doing it and the number of wrongdoings happen in the city where you work. 5. Garbage collector. A city worker is somebody who needs to manage the things you don't require any longer, from dismissed furniture to food extras. Because of the adaptability of things that make up our trash, it very well may be a gross task to take care of. All things considered, garbage men are the absolute most fulfilled laborers around. You infrequently see them quit their positions. Along these lines, what gives? Hint. It's not on the grounds that they don't have different choices. It's the significant salary. Income for a city worker can take off to as high as $80,000 each year, and surprisingly more in case you're working in the posher spaces of a major city. It's not quite as revolting as it sounds, by the same token. They have all the gear expected to try not to deal with the gross piece of the trash. Thus, in case you were considering moving to a superior paying position, this may very well be another option in case you're willing. 4. Golf ball collector. A golf ball authority recovers the balls from every one of the irregular spots they can land, contingent upon the expertise of the golf player. Authorities scour the shrubberies and profound jump into fake lakes after the game is finished, and it doesn't seem like it requires a ton of expertise to do it. Surprisingly, a considerable amount of ability is needed to be a fruitful golf ball gatherer, as they need to arrive at places that most others can't. In numerous nations all throughout the planet, confronting hazardous creatures like gators and venomous snakes is a piece of the work, as well. That is the reason they're the absolute most generously compensated individuals on a fairway, other than the rich individuals who play the game, of course. How much cash you can make relies upon the green and the amount you're paid per ball recovered. All things considered, you can hope to make around $100,000 each year only for gathering golf balls. In case you're a decent jumper, that figure can be much higher. 3. Oil rig worker. Dealing with a remote oil rig is the specific inverse of an astonishing position. You're caught in no place for quite a long time, and the main testing part is by all accounts not biting the dust of boredom. Of course, that is provided that you haven't investigated applying for it. The people who have dealt with oil apparatuses would let you know that it compensates fairly, as well as requires dynamic suspecting and on-the-spot choice making. The normal compensation for oil rig staff is someplace in the ballpark of $100,000 each year, and that is just for normal kind of work. In case you're higher in the order, like a penetrating expert or a repository engineer, it can go as high as $200,000. 8. If you have a professional education in one of the STEM fields, despite the fact that it's anything but an essential, there are a couple of occupations that compensation is much right out of school. 2. Plumber. A handyman's work doesn't simply strong exhausting, yet additionally expects you to do things like unclog depletes and manage more oil than you might have found in your life. We're not saying there's anything modest with regards to the work, as it's as yet a reasonable day's worth of effort for a reasonable day's pay. In any case, it isn't something anybody fantasies about doing when they're young. If you investigate it, however, handymen procure far more than those in most different fields. Contrasted with the 2017 ostensible middle compensation for every capita of around $31,786 in the US, a handyman can acquire somewhere in the range of $50,000 to $70,000 each year. That is just for the standard handyman who've as of late entered the field. The best 10% of handymen acquire more than $84,000 each year on average. It might come as a shock, however, plumbing is certifiably not a simple field to enter. To start with, you need to finish an apprenticeship that can keep going for 4 or 5 years. 1. Crab fisherman. Being an angler seems like the kind of occupation you wouldn't do except if you didn't have some other choice. That might be valid, despite the fact that it relies upon what sort of fishing you're talking about. While some fish might be plentiful consistently, others just gather in specific regions during certain seasons, and getting them is an exceptionally worthwhile profession. In the event that you can get crabs, however, it might simply be one of the most outstanding paying fishing occupations you can get. If you've ever to an eatery and asked why crab-based dishes are especially costly regardless of crabs being so apparently plentiful on the ocean front, this is the explanation. Crabbing is an occasional occupation and conveys a great deal of hazard because of unusual climate conditions where crabs are normally found. The skipper of a crabbing boat can acquire as much as $200,000 each year, and the group can expect around $50,000 for a 3-month working period. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, press like button and subscribe channel for the next videos.